Hello everyone, in this video we will going to see the routing, how the routes will going to work in a Laravel application. Okay, so let's get started with routing. So routing in Laravel is the process of defining the URLs that the user will going to access and the controller or the action that will going to handle those requests. Now routes are defined in the web.php or api.php depending on your web routes and API routes respectively. So in a nutshell, Laravel routes will going to handle all the HTTP requests like get, post, put, patch, delete. Okay. Now Laravel uses a very simple expressive syntax which I have already shown in this slide, as you can see. And unlike all the other PHP framework, Laravel doesn't require you to create separate controller for separate routes uh, unless you want to. Okay. So let's get started with how this next will going to work of routes. So this is the first type of writing a routes, very basic type, where you can see these are the methods: get, post, put, delete. Get method is just for retrieving the data, post method is for submitting the data, put is for updating the data, and delete is for obviously deleting the data. These are the HTTP requests which we send along with the route. So see, the route is a Laravel function, inbuilt function. Laravel route your HTTP request method, your URL, this is your URL, and this is a function, and your whatever you want to pass it on here. Okay, we will going to see in detail in our code when we'll go into the code. The second one is the routing parameter, where many times we have seen that many parameters are passed along with a route. So this is how it works. Your URL, in the curly braces there is a parameter called as id which we are passing, and we are getting it into a function, and that using that function id we can retrieve it in our return statement. There is something called as optional parameter, where the parameter is not 100% mandatory. So even if something is not there, it will not going to run an error. And there is something called as slug value. Slug value is very important in order to extract something very specific. It is quite similar to the first one, that is routing parameter. The third one is the name route. Now name routing is something where we provide a name to each and every route, which will going to help your code makes looks simple and linear. And it is very simple. You just need to write arrow function, name, profile, and wherever you want to use it you just need to write route, your route name, profile is name, profile is name. So this is how it will going to work. Again, there is something called as route parameter, that is group route, and prefix. Now prefix will going to add a word which you want for multiple routes. So here I have write prefix admin. I want admin to be added for all the route which are there in the group function inside it. So for dashboard, prefix will come automatically, and group, what group will going to do, it will going to group multiple set of routes in a single prefix. So now let's get started with the code. I have already written all these codes just to save the time, so I'll start with it. The first route is nothing, so I'll come to my front end and I'll see it is coming. This is my get route. Now for the post, put, and delete route, I'll get an error as I have not passing any CSRF token and the method from the front end. So definitely I'm going to get error. I'll show you how it will going to show me the error. Control C slash what, hit enter. See, I'm getting an error. The error is the get method is not supported. It's supposed to be the post, even though we have submitted it post here, but the post request is not coming from a proper post request from front end. Right now we are just accessing the post, so it wants something called a CSRF token, some kind of authorization. That's why I'm getting an error. For all these method, that is three methods, we need some kind of authorization. That's why I'm getting error. Now something called as route parameter. So let's see the route parameter. How does this work? So I'm writing user slash, if for example your id is 6, hit enter. See, your user id is 6, user id is 60, hit enter. User id is 60. Okay, now why am I able to get this id on my front end here? See, this is how it works. I have passed a parameter called as id. Now I am taking that parameter in a kind of variable form. So if I'll taking in this form of variable, and now it is a function. Function means I can access anything which is there in the parameter. I'm using this parameter in my return statement. I can do whatever I want. I can add multiple parameters here. For example, y is a parameter. See, y. I'm just concatenating. See, now I'm able to get 605. Why? Because I have two parameters in my functions. Similarly, something called as optional parameter. Now, as you have seen, there are two parameters, but if I'll write only one parameter, I'm getting an error called as 404. My route is not HTTP request is not getting any response. To resolve this, we provide optional parameter. So, what optional parameter we're going to do? If I'll write user slash jack, so I'm getting hello jack. Okay, but if I don't have any parameter and I'll just hit user, I'll get hello guest. Now it will be very convenient for the user in order to user perspective that they are not getting any kind of error. Now how this will going to work? I have passed a parameter with a question mark, which means it is an optional parameter. If it is there, it's well and good. If it is not there, then do something else. So I have taken it in my function, and in my function I have used the iteration function, iteration logic, that name is there, then print hello concat the name, else just print hello guest. Okay, now slug will also going to work in the same way, that if I'm passing something along with my URL, for example, see, I'm able to get switch. If I'm writing fan, I'll get fan. Okay, so same thing, the parameter inside a function, and I can access it in my browser. Later on we'll see how you can pass this into a controller file as well. Now the naming convention, that is name. So I just need to write name profile, and wherever I want I can use it using this thing. Something called as prefix. Now prefix is something which I have already explained, that it will going to add admin for all the routes which are written inside this group function. So this is a group function. I can write multiple routes over here. See, for example, a route blog blocks function, nothing inside the function, and I'll return welcome to admin blog. Okay, now this is a blog page, blocks URL. I'll come on the front end and I'll write here blocks. Hit enter, you will get an error. Okay, block does not exist as the method is get. See, wrong. Okay, blocks, I got an error. Now if I'll write here, see, admin slash blocks. See, now I am able to get admin. So what prefix will going to do, it will going to add admin for all the routes, individual routes inside the group function. Now in the next video of route only, we will going to see the middleware part, how the data is being passed from the URL, that is from the route, to the controller, and later on to your blade file. Okay, meanwhile you can just practice all these routes which I have already given in my PPT. I'll pass it on to the description file as well, so you can practice on it. Okay, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.